Alright, YouTube, I haven't done a video on my Mustang in a while. Some of my older videos, a lot of guys were asking about the combo that I had. It's actually changed quite a bit this year since some of my old videos. Some of the things I've added this year is 5-lug conversion, supercharger, and then of course a bigger fuel system, fuel pump and stuff like that to support it. But I'll go ahead and go over it. It's a 306 cubic inch small block Ford. It's got SRP forged pistons in it, about 9.5 to 1. Crank rods block, that's all stock, along with the fuel lines. I'm kind of pushing those things to their limits. It's got trick flow #1 camshaft in it. Airflow Research 165 cylinder heads. BBK engine 5/8 long tube headers, ceramic coated. And as you can see, they rusted anyway. About 10 years old. The engine I actually built the engine about 10 years ago. It doesn't have a whole lot of mileage on it, but it's getting a little age to it. Edelbrock Performer intake. It's been port matched to the cylinder heads. AccuFab 70 millimeter throttle body. It's got a Vortec V3 on it, making about 12 pounds of boost. A little bit more than I wanted, but I ordered it from Anderson. It came with a power pipe and a 312 upper, and I actually put a 333 on there to slow it down. Still made a little bit more power and boost than I wanted, but that's okay. MSD box, I added that along with the supercharger. Ford Racing 42-pound green tops. Again, I'm kind of pushing those. Like my dyno guy said they were at 85 or 90% duty cycle or something like that. I had to put my AC compressor back on. I took it off years ago and used the Ford Racing kit that moved the power steering pump up there. But I had to power steering pump when it was up here. I actually set a little bit lower than the AC, and my belt kept wanting to hit. And I've seen a few guys that are able to pull it off. I've heard you got to get a belt that fits very, very tight. I just went ahead and put my compressor back on to kind of get away from that. Eventually, I will put an idler pulley on there because that's kind of an eyesore. So that's pretty much the engine. It's got a McLeod blow-proof bell housing. I don't know if you can see it down in there. It's got a Zoom dual friction clutch. A Tremec TKO 500 26 spline transmission. What is that? The 327 first gear, I think. It's got a Ford Racing aluminum drive shaft. 373 gears right now with a Detroit True Track 31 spline Moser axles. I also just recently did a 5-lug swap to it at the end of last winter. Went with a 93 Cobra brake booster along with a matching master cylinder from 93 Cobra. You can see my line lock there. So 5-lug conversion. As you can see, I found a set of '01 Cobra rims on Craigslist, and bottom they got some cheapo tires on there. PBR aluminum twin piston calipers, SN95 spindles up front, and yeah. So put an Airmotive 340 fuel pump in there, and still stock fuel lines. That's something I'm going to need to address. I'm probably going to buy a Pro M fuel pump hanger. It's got the 3/8 lines coming out with -6 fittings on it, and probably run some PTFE fuel lines along with a bigger fuel rail. Probably should run some 60-pound injectors too. And once I get the fuel system sorted, I'd like to start saving up for a dart block and maybe build a 331 or a 347. So that'll be down the road. My wife's pregnant with our first child, so I might not be able to afford that. So yeah, I also added some gauges after I did the supercharger install. I did the fuel pressure and boost, and the one on the right's just a blank. I did a rear seat delete kit. I don't know, it was probably several years ago. I kind of regret that. I kind of miss having my back seats, to be honest. But the reason I did away with it is I added some battle box torque box reinforcements, and after I did that, I wasn't sure if the back seats were still going to fit, so I just ordered this delete kit. So yeah, that's kind of my car. It's been a few years, but I used to have a few guys asking me about some questions about the car, about what I was running, what gears, what transmission. Before I added the supercharger, I actually had 410s in the back. And once I added the supercharger, the 410s were just, they were just too much. I had to go across. When I took it out to the drag strip, I had to finish and overdrive, going into fifth, just killed my ET and my mile an hour. So I went back to 373s there a few weekends ago and was able to cross the line in fourth gear. So on these cheap street tires, it went 1220s at 119. So yeah, so that's kind of some of the changes I've made to it this year. The blower, the 5 lug, the supercharger and the fuel system and MSD to support it. Bolting that blower on, it's a V3, 190 horsepower at the wheels is what it gained me. It made 290 before the blower, and now it's making 480. So yeah, well worth the money in my opinion. It's where else can you bolt on 190 horsepower, right? So yeah, so that's just kind of a quick video. I guess I've blabbered for about 6 minutes. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.